My name is Cameron Carr. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for Flex. We are a global EMS provider, so electronic manufacturing service. And ultimately what we do is we bring components from around the world through our global supply chain into localized manufacturing facilities, as well as we also develop products and services. So we help our customers, who could range from manufacturers of networking equipment to lots of stuff in the data center and power, to automotive customers that are global. And we make their supply chain more resilient. It makes it easier for them to navigate the global environment, and ultimately can insource some of the products and services that they ultimately need to get their final product to end market. The future of manufacturing is characterized by a lot of complexity. So over the last few years, I think we've all seen that regionalization has come into play. We also have had a number of shocks, from COVID to the Red Sea issues that we've had, to all-out war and geopolitical conflicts. So the global supply chain and manufacturing, as part of that, has become much more robust and complex. So manufacturing technologies are going to help us by reducing that complexity, being more efficient. So you think about automation, allows us to manufacture much more closely anywhere in the world and manage the cost associated with that and the capabilities in any region. And then you think about things like AI that are helping us to make the supply chains more efficient, resilient, flexible, and responsive. And not only that, but moving to a more proactive environment versus in COVID, where largely I think the world was caught off guard and we had to react. So we're making those changes from a technology perspective. So first, let me say I think that I've been surprised at how quickly the global companies are starting to relook at the U.S. as a viable source for manufacturing, based on the current environment and some of the the political policies that we have instituted here. So I think there is a continued regionalization effect that will both benefit the U.S. as well as other areas like Mexico and Southeast Asia. But if we want to accelerate that in the U.S., one, we need to have more localized supply chains here, because to a large extent we're still buying a lot of the components that ultimately come into the things that we manufacture from one place. We also need to invest in our labor and our workforce. Right? We have to have the people to actually go and hire, that have the skill sets and are interested in doing these manufacturing jobs. We also need to invest in our infrastructure. So there are certain things like semiconductors, they're all manufactured in one place. If we want to get those, we have to go outside, and we need to invest in our infrastructure here locally, which will help us to accelerate the rest of the manufacturing process. We also need policies that work with the manufacturing community from a governmental perspective, to make sure that the policies that we enact are driving the right outcomes, and the incentives are aligned for manufacturers like ourselves and others in other industries. Certainly, those device startups, you're going to be part of the supply chain, right? So you're critical for us to land the manufacturing environment that we need here to be more robust in developing that localized supply chain. So one thing I would say is think about where you're getting your components from, and make sure that you are resilient and that you have options that can be locally sourced to do that. I think working closely up front with companies that help companies like yourself to scale is important, because when you get to the point where you want to go from new product introduction to small runs to where you hopefully have that larger demand, there are major issues from going from that the small runs to the large runs. So working with a larger player to help you to understand that as you get your manufacturing base set up, and you have an option to go and expand your production capacity through those players, I think would be extremely helpful.